He led it to the portal, where it fell on its knees, and it asked,
"Is this where I'm supposed to be? A demonic portal to the plains of despair?"
it asked, fearing the answer that would come. "Yes, I brought you here to your truth." And with that he left it, and entered the host body, entwining with his other threads, letting them know what he knew, and then crafted a new body again, in front of this creature, and entered it once more. At the creation of that which it had now killed twice, it began to shake, its mind unable to comprehend what it was seeing, as out of nowhere the form of that which it had been slain returned, slowly as though a ghost at first, but quickly spun full form. Its mouth hung open, eyes agog, and what sanity it had been holding on to at this point, left for a time. "Now see me, at least see one of my forms," he said, his voice booming through the tunnels, and it fell to its knees, shaking as it looked up at him.
You are not him!"
It managed to get out the words before words were lost to its mind, as the form created finally became whole, solid, and real. "No, indeed I am not your god, but I could be," he said, slowly, letting it sink into its head. He reached out and touched it with his threads, and felt the mind racing, the thoughts unable to craft properly. It could not comprehend what it was seeing, what it had witnessed, done, and now beheld at the end of its journey. "Perhaps I've driven this one too far," he reasoned, and lifted his hand to point toward it, and as he was about to release threads to begin conversion of this one to his own, it spoke.
"Show me,"
it said, slowly, shaking the words out among its drooling gape, and it looked up in despair, waiting for the words of this unknown entity before it. He recalled again what the Scaled Ones had said about followers of faith, and the gods needing them in order to gain power above. To actually be a host, it was a necessity. Perhaps this will be a good opportunity, he thought, and responded with, "Yes, I will take you as my first supplicant upon this realm. I will gift you power, unlike your old god, and all you need do is bring me a priest of those who you worshipped before, one of those known to worship Arnosh." It nodded uncontrollably, shaking, and clearly was having problems with his form. He looked at its eyes, and then he realized he had not removed the vision he had gifted it. No wonder, it's driving him to insanity. And he touched it on the brow and removed this gifted sight. Immediately it looked calmer, as the visions abated. No more could it see the threads, the souls and the essences twisting within them, screaming for aid and clawing to escape the impenetrable power that held them within. It no longer saw a vision of total despair, and the penetrating web of threads that intertwined the tunnels and the very portal in front of him, which now looked dark, like a vertical inky water, smooth as glass. "Here," he said, passing a coin to it and pushing magic into it. "It will allow you to see in the darkest places. Consider it your first gift from your new god. And remember, give me what I ask for, and you will be rewarded for your duty." And he fixed his gaze upon it unnervingly. It drew itself to its feet and looked at him, accepting the coin.
"Yes, I will."
"I only ask of you one thing, and one thing only. A portion of what you call your life, and I will use it to give you immortality within me. And for this I will gift, in the hole it will leave, I will gift you with my own power, as a god will do."
Yes, of course,"
it said, and moved forward, an arm outstretched. "Easier than I thought." He smiled and grasped it by the head, and drew all but a small part of its soul from its body, leaving enough behind for it to function and live, but so that he had all he needed from it should it die. It screamed till it lost its voice, and fell to the ground unconscious. He waited, and as he did, he lived through the old memories of this creature, It was a he, a male, a human, and he was one of 4 other brothers. His mother killed by his father, and he was the only survivor of his father's wrath for some reason he did not know. He had killed his father, then sought penance with the priesthood, but from all accounts this group of followers had never shown a propensity for magics of any kind. In fact, they seemed to be utterly without power at all. They were mere mortals, and showed no sign of the touch of the divine upon them. It had been taken in by a con artist, a charlatan, and although it half knew it, it wanted to belong, to be part of something that had a cause it could throw itself at in an attempt to earn forgiveness for its actions. He understood now. This one was a lost soul too, and it had been lied to. It followed no god, unless these coins were believed to be of a god somehow, so it could not show him its god, nor bring a priest of that cult to his grasp. But maybe he could use this and take this small cult for his own in time. Perhaps it could be the first true priest within that lie that had caught it. Yes, he would give it the means to exact its revenge, and in doing so cement his tie to this one, and in time use it to attempt to rise back to the hosts by means of the path the Scaled Ones had spoken of, through the rites of the ancients and the path of the Scions. It finally woke to find itself on a small patch of grass just outside its city, and remembered vividly what had transpired. For a few minutes it sat, making sense of it all, and for a brief moment thought it had merely drank too much, or taken something that disagreed with its mind. At least until, as it stood up, it felt the coin in its pocket, and as he grasped it, he could see a soft glow emanating from the world around. It was real, he thought, and reeled from the reality of it all, and began to slowly make its way to the city. It headed to the temple, where it had been the night prior, but discovered on the way that it had been gone a lot longer than a single day, 4 days in fact. As it entered through the large black doors, it was met by the robed figure again, and roughly taken by the arm and led into a back room. Hours passed by, and it emerged from the temple beaten, part broken, its face bruised, lash marks on its back and arms. It was angry, and headed to find its friends. It told them of what it had encountered, and the events of the past days, of the one it killed that then reappeared again, testing its will, and it killed it again, and that the god they knew as Arnosh was a false god, a falsity spun by a thieves' guild, and nothing more. By the time the night fell, it had 9 with it, heading to the temple. Each had been a part of his lie. Each wanted answers, payback, and worse from the so-called Temple of Arnosh. Upon arrival, vengeance was swift and decisive. No survivors, and none escaped. The Temple of Arnosh was stripped of all they could use, and all but 2 left with their gains. It turned to them and asked if they would be the second and third of the following of this new god, and they agreed to the request, and so he had started a following. It returned to the tunnels alone and reported what had transpired, and he appeared again as the one it had slain. I cannot travel to them. They must come here, for my form will be sensed by others who would cause me harm as I begin my faith anew. It nodded and accepted this half-truth, and left to bring the new disciples back. The real truths were many, but the main one that was he could not walk upon the plain, and strip the soul from a creature without causing a scene, or risking a demonic feeding frenzy, whereas here, where the veil was thin and the threads were close to his host, he could exercise complete control and do what was needed to be done. Within hours, the one was then 3, and he now had a power base on which to slowly spread. He, however, demanded that he would keep the name Arnosh, as he would give them what the false idol had not. So they kept the temple, and began anew, each with a coin in hand of strange hue. For years to come their numbers grew, and he kept gaining more souls, and hence more of an understanding, as well as control over those he gained. Any that tried to leave would find themselves visited by strange entities of darkness in the depths of night, which would whisper their darkest secrets and force them to seek Arnash to quell their voices. This control was simple, and so he left one of the greater threads to carry this on as he focused his attentions elsewhere. Arnash grew for many years upon this prime, but naturally drew the attention of followers of hosts, those of divinity, whereupon they investigated this temple of Arnash, questioning and probing, trying to discover the truth behind them. They were invited in, and told of the events that transpired, of the deceit and the aid given by their new named saviour Arnash. They were amazed to find a possibly unknown new divinity here that they had no knowledge of, and were eager to learn more. And so the invitation was given to one of their high priests, one known as Kotel, and he accepted eagerly to be the first to catalogue this new divinity, this hidden god. He was led to the tunnels, whereupon he would be told the great truth that had been revealed to them.